What's up, you guys? So I'll probably wait for a few more of you guys to join in and then I'll get started. So here's what I have so far, and what I'll pretty much do today is I'll take any questions you guys have about drawing buildings, and I have some paper to demonstrate here if you guys want to see that, and I also have a few more buildings over here that I need to finish up, so you guys can watch me do that. Alright, so I'll start off by going over some of the tools I'm going to use in this video. So I have my drafting pencil, it's a Staedtler 2H. I'm just going to use my eraser right here, and I'm going to use my electric eraser too for the smaller details. And since I already have these perspective lines drawn in, I don't need a huge ruler or anything. I just have like this small one right here. And let's see, and of course I have my paper to put my hand on so my work doesn't get smudged or anything. Alright, so if you guys have any questions about drawing buildings, just let me know. I'll try my best to answer. I'll get started. I'll start putting in some details here. So I think you guys saw me post this yesterday. I was just kind of working on it, and I'll continue to add some details. Let's see. So I think what I'm gonna do right now is I'll add a few blinds in here and I'll finish rendering these things out. So let me look at the questions. And for this video, I'll mostly answer questions about just drawing buildings. I'll save the other questions for later. First of all, someone asked how you shade buildings. So pretty much you want to think of all the buildings just like rectangles. So if you have a normal building like that, and then there's going to be a light source coming from here, pretty much you're just shading away from the light. So this whole part is going to be shaded. So if you break everything down into all these little shapes and stuff, you'll end up just with buildings with one side being dark, another side being light, and then you just pretty much shade whatever is facing away. So I'll get started over here a little bit, and you guys can just watch, and I'll look at the comments every once in a while to see what questions you guys have. So I'll start out by adding a few blinds so they don't all look the same, otherwise it kind of starts looking static. So I'll only add blinds to this one. I'm not going to do it for all of them, just so there's kind of some visual interest. And yeah, how do you do that with the perspective? Let's see. So I drew in the perspective lines at the beginning, and pretty much everything just follows those lines. Yeah. So this place is kind of looking plain right now, so let's say if I want to just add a shape or something, let's see. If you guys want to add ellipses, I have all these ellipse templates that are pretty good for drawing these. Let's see, let me find one. I can probably go over how to draw ellipses in perspective in another video, but right now you can kind of just observe. Let's see, it's coming from over here, so if I were to draw one, I'll just add this for some visual interest. And the shadowing is gonna, let's see. How would you detail buildings from afar? Okay, so to answer that question real quick, buildings from afar, it's pretty much like whatever's closer, there's gonna be more detail. I can show you guys this over here. I put a lot more time into it, and for buildings from afar, sometimes I just black it out like over here. Not sure if you guys can see that, but it'll usually be darker, and I just have some short ways where I can just get these buildings in very fast without putting much detail in. I'll do it with some of these buildings later. I'll first finish up this right here. So I'm gonna shadow it a bit. Let me make sure this lighting's okay. Yeah. Alright, so I'll kind of shadow what's going away from the light right here. And then you can kind of see how that gives it a little bit of depth and makes it just a little bit more interesting. And I kind of want to break up the lines that go towards the light so it doesn't look very stiff. Let's see. And for over here, I'm probably just going to add some texture since I've already pretty much got everything down over here. So after I get the texture in here, I can kind of show you guys how I'm going to get started on these buildings. So how do you decide the amount of details to make the buildings appealing? I'm pretty sure everyone's different, but for me, I like my buildings to have a lot of details, and the lines give it a lot of visual interest. So like for all these windows, I add a lot of lines when it gets close, and you can see this one's slightly farther away. I just add like a couple less lines, but I still try to keep it fairly detailed. So let me go in here real quick. I'll scroll through the questions in a bit to see what you guys are saying. And right now, it's actually pretty cold outside. It's like 15 degrees because I'm in New York. I'm not really sure where you guys are, but I heard it's getting pretty cold in quite a lot of places. I think it was like a snowstorm yesterday too. Kyle Rayner, is that how you say it? Yeah, so I think it was last week I put out something on my story where I said I'd take one request, and first request that pops up I'll draw. And someone said the Kyle Rayner Green Lantern. So that's what I'm drawing right now. Why do I have the tape on my pencil? I kind of saw my favorite artist doing it, and I tried it, and now I can't go back, so I'm stuck with this. Yeah, for some reason, once I hold a normal pencil, like this, it just doesn't feel the same. Probably because I've used this too much and I've really gotten used to it. Okay, so those details were fairly easy, and I'll just go back in here with my eraser and make a few little bumps and stuff. Let's see, my favorite artist is most definitely David Finch. I also like Jim Lee. A lot of you guys probably know him too. So those are my favorite artists. And I think I didn't go dark enough here, especially since it's facing away from the light, so I'm gonna go ahead and thicken that up right now. So you guys, hopefully you guys can see, but it makes it really clear that it's on the opposite side. Let me see what questions you guys have. How long did I draw for this? This probably took like 8 hours to get to this point, so I still have a couple of buildings that'll probably take an hour or two. To complete this full page, I'd say, since it's pretty detailed and stuff, and I'm actually kind of a slow worker, I'd say up to 12 hours maybe. And okay, so I think you guys are probably bored watching me just detail this, so I'll show you guys kind of how to draw your own buildings from imagination. And let's see, what else? Yeah, so usually you want to reference your buildings if you can, but if you don't have any references, there are a few shortcuts you can do. So I've actually looked at buildings quite a lot, and I kind of know how they look, but here. So let me just start with this one. I'll thicken up this dividing line, and you can see I kind of just boxed out the building with a rectangular prism over here. So let's see. No, I go to SVA right now. So we'll get this thickened up. And you can see all this is following my perspective lines. So just sharpening my pencil real quick. All right. The first thing I do with my buildings, usually the windows are never gonna start right at the edge because buildings just don't look like that. So there's always gonna be some space over here, so I'll just draw that in really lightly with my pencil and make sure you guys can see. All right, and there's gonna be some space at the top. It's actually kind of hard to see the perspective lines from here, so I'm gonna try my best to stay with it, but no guarantees. So we have some space at the top, and after I get the dark side in, I'm gonna do the part that's actually lighted, and I kind of just flip it around. And yeah, I think it's worth buying a sharpener, this kind of sharpener, and this pencil. I see a lot of other artists using it, and yeah, I quite like it. So now that you have these parts divided right here, I'm gonna figure out what windows I want to put in. And for a lot of these, you guys can see they're kind of similar, but at the same time you can tell they're different buildings. So I want to make sure this one stands out from those. I'm not gonna make it exactly the same. I think for this one, maybe we'll do something tougher and let's see. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a row of windows over here. They're all gonna be connected, and then I'll have a divider for them, and then I'll have a row of windows, a divider, row of windows, divider. And you guys can kind of see how I approach that. I'm not really gonna go in hard with my pencil right now because I know I'm probably gonna make mistake or two here and there. So, and not sure if that's exactly following my perspective line, but we'll fix it when we need to. Here's a divider. Ooh, and it's actually quite hard looking over here. So we've got another row of windows. Then here's the divider. Does that look good? I think this divider needs to be a little smaller. And that's why you go lighter at first, so when you make the mistakes, you can kind of let's see. Kind of go back on it. The window, I'll just leave that for now. Trying to figure out which one this goes to. Okay, sorry, I'll get back to questions in a second. Just want to make sure I don't draw something too embarrassing right here. So, okay, I think kind of got it down. So I pretty much divided up all the windows. Let me see, how long does it take you to detail a closer building? So one building like this, maybe 45 minutes to an hour. Actually, maybe not that long, but yeah, depends how much detail. So I know this is pretty much going to be facing away from the light, so at the end this whole thing is going to be just black, and I'm going to start to divide these windows up. I'm going to try my best to do it evenly, but yeah. Let's see. And I know a lot of people that can talk while they're drawing. I'm not sure if I can do that, but I'm just trying my best. Let's see. So it looks pretty even right now, but I want to make sure. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, that should be about right. And it actually looks pretty messy right now, but it's okay. We'll fix that. Since this side's all shadowed in, we'll go ahead and shadow the sides. Let me take a look at questions real quick. Let's see. All right. And sorry if I don't get to all the questions. I'm mostly going to be focusing on drawing buildings and questions related to just drawing these buildings. Okay, so I have that in. And as you can see, it's fairly easy kind of just dividing it up, and later you can kind of add the details. And usually at this point, I'm not going to darken up the entire thing up here, because now what I'm going to do is my average time to do a pencil sketch, if it's just one character, maybe like 3-4 hours, but the backgrounds are what takes a long time. And what I'm going to do here now is I'm actually going to put in a couple of lines just so it's not a black blob. This kind of makes it look a little more interesting too. And this is a technique I use quite often. Not even sure if this is what it looks like in real life, but I guess it looks pretty cool on paper, so I do it pretty much every time. So you can kind of see there's a little bit left over here. All right. So let's get back over here. Let's try our best to stay on perspective here. Hang on, I'm thinking a bit. Let's see. Okay, so Maybe we'll split it up like that, so there's more space between the windows. Yeah, I guess that looks alright. Let's see. And when you're drawing these buildings from imagination, you kind of think of it as you go. So what I'm gonna do right now is, I think I'll keep these lines in here and blacken the rest. Okay, so here we go. If it doesn't look good, we can always just black it in, because this is the dark side of the building. Not sure why I'm keeping those lines in there, but hopefully they look alright. Okay, let's see. We have that, and I'll probably darken the top and bottom. Let's put a line through the middle. Let's see how that looks. I guess that's alright for now. If it ends up looking kind of weird, we can always just blacken the entire thing if we have to. So more windows up here, and I actually realized some of this doesn't look quite right, so I'm gonna adjust it a bit. Okay. And second lines. And when you're having some trouble, you can kind of just take a ruler out, and you can see I drew the horizon line over here, if you can kind of see it. So if you ever run into trouble, you can just take a look at that real quick. Let's see, where's my ruler? Where'd it go? Right over there. So it's still going down slightly. Let's see. Where do you take your references from? Usually I'll just search up New York architecture, something like that. But if I'm kind of in a rush, I just kind of freehand it. Okay, so looks like this actually has to come down a bit. Yeah, I'm kind of just adjusting as I go to make sure it doesn't look too bad, I guess. We'll do the same as the top. I'll show you guys a little bit of this building. I'm pretty sure you won't want to watch me just fill in the entire building, because a lot of drawing buildings is just a ton of repetition. It's like the same windows over and over again, and I guess if you're watching, it gets boring after a while. I'll fill in the second layer right here, and I'll show you some buildings from farther away. So we'll do the same thing right here. Kind of thicken up the top and bottom, kind of draw a line through it. And for each of these windows, we'll kind of thicken up the line over here, because those are, I'm not even sure what you call them, the dividers, I think. But there we have them. Shouldn't take too long. Okay, And now once we have that in, let's see if I can give an example. So if you see these windows right here, there are a lot of lines here that give it a lot of depth. And over here, what you want to do is, since you're kind of looking upwards at it, here I'll demonstrate on this paper. So if you're looking up at a window, sorry, this is like a bad drawing, but you'll have something like this up here. Not sure if you guys understand that, but if you guys are looking up at it, it'll look like that, and if you're looking down, it'll kind of be like that. Kind of see what I mean? So since you're looking up right here, all the lines are going to be on this side and at the top. So let me go right in. I'll add all the lines at the top first. And I'm not sure if you guys can see, but I'll leave a little space over here because it's going to connect with another line that goes up right there. So this should be fairly quick. Doesn't take up too much time. And it gives the windows a lot more depth, in my opinion. So we have all the ones at the top, and now we'll start the ones from the side. Let me see if there are any questions related to this first. How do I know where to draw the shadow? So right now, for this entire picture, my light source is coming from the upper left. And see, it's pretty consistent throughout, all the lights coming from there, so this building follows just that. Now I'm adding the second line over here. See, let me bring that closer. So you guys can kind of see how that gives it a bit more depth. Oh, and at the top of the buildings, I'm not even sure what exactly is up there, but usually you'll want to put a couple of random objects to kind of make it look interesting. So got a few of these things, just antennas or something, wires. And something I love to do, I'm not sure if I can do it with any of these buildings. Let me see. No, I can't do any right now, but if I can later on in the video, I'll show you guys. So you got these things going on. And you always want to add something on top of the building so it doesn't just look flat and boring. And here's kind of a shortcut of something I do to make the buildings more interesting. So on the sides, instead of just a straight edge right here, especially when it's just black shadows like this, sometimes I'll give it a little bit of a ledge, kind of like that, and I'll kind of follow the stories over here. So at the edge of each window, I'll kind of give it a little bit of detail right there, so you guys can see there's some detail on the edge of the building. Alright, and as promised earlier, I will do some buildings in the background. This I put more time in because it's somewhat close, I guess. But the building really far in the background, let's say this building right here. Let me block it in first so you guys can see it. I'm kind of just gonna use my shortcut and do this real quick. So the farther the buildings go, the more dark they're gonna be. If you can see, this one right here is pretty much all just shadowed, and it shows it's really far in the background. Sorry, you can probably hear some people outside because I'm living in the dorm right now, and yeah, people walk back and forth. So here it is, and I can actually show you something interesting with this one. It's just a little bit of detail that makes it look kind of cool. I'm gonna sharpen my pencil real quick, and we'll get started. Okay, so as always, I'll kind of divide up the sides because the windows aren't gonna go over there. Okay, and I'll block in the top part of the building. And for the buildings in the background, you can always go in and add more detail later, since it's just small black shapes. Let's see. Oh, okay. Do you have any tips for drawing buildings that have been destroyed? Good question. For buildings that have been destroyed, there are a few things you can do. I'll kind of just draw the basic outline of the building like you saw me do in this one, except for after that I'll take my eraser and I'll kind of like cut a portion out of it, and then I'll just add a lot of organic shapes. And one thing you can do to cover up a lot of the detail you have to draw is you can actually draw smoke, and the smoke covers up a lot of the rubble. So yeah, that's just something if you wanted to draw buildings that have been destroyed. Do you use 2-point perspective or 3-point perspective? I actually use 1-point, 2-point, 3-point. I use all of them, and even sometimes when it's just one character, I don't really need perspective. But in this case, this is 3-point perspective, because if you look closely, the buildings are smaller at the bottom of the page, and they slowly get larger, and you have your 2 perspective points out here. So let me show you this building real quick. So that's pretty simple, and you start to divide up your windows again. And there's a building in front of it, so I'm not going to draw on top of that. Okay, so I guess that kind of divided up nicely. Finish it up over here. And what I'm gonna do with this is I'll take the different black lines and I'll kind of make it look interesting while keeping these windows here. Let's see if there are any other questions. What was the hardest challenge for you while drawing buildings? I think even to these days, it's keeping my windows even, I guess, because I don't really like to measure it out. I just go right in, and sometimes it ends up looking really strange, and I have to erase the whole thing and start over. But usually I can kind of get away with the minor mistakes. So here you have this building in the distance. I noticed in a lot of buildings, I think it's mostly from observation, there's a top deck over here, and then there's like the rest of the windows, and then there's a bottom portion. In this case, you're not going to see the bottom portion, so I'm kind of just going to separate out the top right now. So let's see. That's going to be the top. And there we go. Alright, looks about right. So we have top deck for the building right here. And let's see. I did something similar over here. So what I want to do is make it stand out. So I'm going to curve all of these windows. So do you show the building when the energy is blocking it? No, I don't, because it's kind of because I'm lazy. But if I'm stuck anywhere, I'll just put some of his energy around it and I don't have to draw it. It's kind of a cover-up. I'm gonna start over here. Alright. Let me make sure. No more questions. Do we need to use ruler to draw buildings? Alright, so I have all these perspective lines in, so I don't really need to use a ruler for the most part. The perspective lines are drawn in with the ruler, but when I actually draw the buildings, I don't really use one. However, if the lines start kind of looking odd and I have to line something up, especially with the windows, then a ruler does come in handy. So I have like a small one right here, and if you notice, you can actually see through this. So if you line it up, you can kind of draw parallel lines or something. It's kind of a cool ruler. But let's keep going here. So all these windows are going to be rounded, and I'm just going to go in real quick, make sure that it doesn't look too sloppy. And if something does start looking pretty sloppy or messy, just call me out on it and I'll make sure I fix it. Alright, so there we go. It's alright, I guess. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna start separating out these levels, and I'll kind of do what I did over here with the I don't even remember what I called it earlier, but I'll put some space in between. So there we have it. We have the other level right there, I think. Yeah. I'm just trying my best to follow the perspective lines here. And one really important thing you want to remember while drawing these buildings is these have to match up. So I'll kind of give you guys a quick example. If I have a building going up like this, you have all your perspective lines, you have a window. When you draw a window over here, you don't want to start drawing a window up here, because then that's just completely off. So I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys know this because you guys have been drawing a lot, but in case you guys don't, here's a quick reminder. You just line up these lines over here and draw it across the building, so you can line all the windows up. So that's just kind of a quick tip in case you guys did not know already. I'm sure a lot of you guys knew this, so sorry if you guys already knew that. But here we go. I'll just add a few more levels and make sure all of these things line up. Okay, so we have that in. Do you add stuff on the further buildings? Yes. In the buildings that are farther away, I'll kind of add a few black lines here and there, and I'll show you a pretty cool thing I do for detail. Even though it's not really realistic to have it on these buildings, I still add it anyways because it just kind of looks cool. Okay, so we have that, and I want to add a little bit of visual interest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a very small, subtle line. Hang on, you'll see what I mean. a small subtle line on the bottom of each of these, so it doesn't look that boring. And for some reason, for me, I just like more lines on paper. It looks better. And I'll do it for the top too. You guys can see. Looks a little more interesting now. Can I zoom in a little bit? With this, I guess I can zoom in. All right, there. Is that better? Okay. I hope you guys can see more clearly now. I actually did not know you could zoom in with the live stream, so that's kind of cool. I was gonna show you guys the details. So I don't really want the top of this building just to be flat, so let's add a few random things here. And for you guys in New York, I'm not sure if they have it in other places, but I think they have some kind of a water tank up here too in some buildings. I think I was with one of my friends, went to her house, and I think she said it, but she said they look like body disposals, so that's what I've been calling them for a while. These water tanks, call them body disposals. I'm not sure why. Seems kind of morbid, but what do you know? There we have it. And on the side over here, and this is all in 3-point perspective right now. On the sides over here, I'm gonna add a few dots on the side over here, so it's not completely flat. And in some buildings, it's okay for it to be flat because kind of want to vary your buildings a bit. This building was quite flat. Over here, I'm gonna add a few ridges. It just gives it some more detail and it makes it look more interesting. So I'll add a few ridges on each of the floors. And to be completely honest, I'm not sure how the ridges are gonna look yet because I'm kind of making this up as I go. It's kind of fun just to use your imagination and see what you come up with. And if it looks bad, what you can do is draw a line right here, shadow this whole place in, and it's gone. Or you can just erase it. So what I was going to show you guys earlier is a cool little trick to make it look more interesting. I'll add a few lines coming down over here. Over here, and I'll just add some. I'm not even sure what these are supposed to be, but probably trash or something. So yeah, now you've got an interesting building from far away. Let me zoom out a bit so you guys can see. It's quite obvious this building is in the background and definitely not in the foreground. For this video, I'm just gonna stick with drawing buildings for now. How do you do the rough texture? Okay, so the rough texture, I guess I can show it over here. Let me zoom in a bit. Hopefully you guys can see it. I'll demonstrate some of the rough texture over here. And for some reason, the light keeps on changing, but just try to work around it. I'll start off with doing some basic bumps and stuff, and later I kind of just use the cross hatching to give it a bit of texture. And this is something I observed from Finch and Stephen Platt. They both do amazing textures. And sometimes I'll search up online if I need reference. I'll kind of just look at some pictures of rocks or can't remember off the top of my head. Was it? I think my teacher showed me ones. It was pretty cool, but I kind of forgot about it. Oh, bricks have pretty good texture too, and sometimes when I'm just walking around the streets, if I see something with a really nice texture, like on the wall or something, or on a building, I'll just take a picture of it, and I'll save it to this folder in my phone where I can save it for later and look back at it. So now that I have a couple of these dents inside, let's see. Yeah, sorry, I can't always answer my DMs. I have thousands and thousands of DMs right now that are unread, and I'm really sorry about that, but I just don't have the time to look through every single one of them. So I'll kind of make it rough and bumpy, and if you guys see over here, this is not just a completely straight line, and actually I can even roughen it up a little bit more. So I can add a few bumps over here, thicken up some lines, breaking it up a little bit, and you'll see I don't need to keep the lines completely straight. So that kind of gives it a rougher feeling, I guess. And let's go back in and finish rendering this out. And one thing that's important when you're drawing this is you don't want just straight smooth lines. Like if I was rendering him right here, you can see all these crosshatch lines are very smooth and straight, but over here I kind of want to break it up a bit because I mean it's kind of like a stone texture, and I kind of I want to get that texture across. So it's even okay just to add a few bumps over here and random lines because it kind of breaks things up a little bit. Oh, and one thing I forgot to do for this live stream is there's no music, so you guys are just listening to me talk, and if I stop talking, it's just gonna be silence. So that's one thing I should definitely remember for the next live stream. And if you guys like these live streams, I'll try my best to do them more often. I should be fairly free for the next couple of days, so maybe I'll do another live stream. Let's see. Oh, I guess some of you guys prefer no music. I guess if you guys just like listening to me talk, then I'll do that too, I guess. So hopefully that's rough enough, I guess. My biggest drawing ever, usually I don't really do big drawings, maybe double page spreads. What is that? Is that 22 by 17? Yeah, 22 by 17 or 17 by 22. Yeah. You should do a video on background and people and action. Yeah, I'll definitely try to do some backgrounds. Yeah, I'm alright. I'm just... No, I think it's just because I'm usually nervous in front of a camera, and I usually don't talk a lot when I draw, so Just makes me kind of nervous, I guess. But, you know, a lot of people wanted to see the live stream, so I'm just doing my best here. Yeah, you can get this pencil on Amazon. I think that's where I got it. So kind of just adding some random textures here. Kind of make it look a little bit more interesting. Let's see. Let's put some texture. What should we do next? Let me zoom out a bit. Oh, this was something I was struggling on a lot earlier because I'm thinking of putting a big clock over here. And yeah, and I had to freehand this entire circular shape. So that was pretty tough. If you guys want, maybe I'll start in, I'll do some rendering. Maybe you guys can just watch me struggle with the clock and try to put in all the different shapes. I don't think that's a very good idea, but yeah, let's go into it. So what I'm gonna do first is I'll break up some of the lines so it doesn't look too static. There's just gonna be some thicker lines, some random bumps and dots here and there. Just make it look a little bit more interesting so your eye can kind of bounce around and look at the details. Okay. So, let me think. Looking right now, I can tell this circle is a little bit off, but it shouldn't be too big of a deal. Just hoping I can get away with it. Let's see, I have this center over here. And I'll kind of just split this up. So I know where to place all the, what's that, numbers, yeah. I'll make the clock point at some random time. Let's see. Actually, this is gonna be sometime during the evening, so let's see. Maybe, let's see, the minute hand. I wanna point maybe like that, yeah. That looks alright. Maybe the hour hand will just go somewhere here. Then I don't think the big clocks have the seconds hand. Yeah. Oh well. I'll add some rendering and cracks over here. Hopefully you guys can see that. Also just wondering, is there anything else on this drawing you guys want me to cover, like detail wise, or just drawing in one of these buildings? If you guys do, I can do a short demo and kind of just show you. Let's see, in the evening, why the bright highlights? Because if I make everything, all the buildings just black, everything's just gonna fade away. So the things that are closer, I'm still gonna kind of light them the same way. It's just that when the colorist colors this in, it's not gonna be like a really vibrant color. It's gonna be kind of dull. Okay, let's see. How do you decide how you want your buildings to look like? So a lot of the times, especially for this, I actually took a picture of a building that was nearby my school. I'll kind of either look at references, kind of build off of that, or I'll just make them up in my head completely. Usually those aren't as strong, but I've drawn a lot of buildings from references already, so I kind of know what to expect. The city, I guess it's not exactly based on a city in real life. It's just buildings pulled from everywhere. I think these buildings are kind of the buildings you'll find in New York City. This clock tower, however, I have no idea. I doubt you'll be able to find that in New York, or maybe you will. Definitely haven't seen it yet. Dark sea drawing. Okay. Alright, I think I'll go ahead and tackle this building and just finish it up. How do you get your perspective right when center is off page? Let's see. By center, do you mean the vanishing points? Because I have a way to draw that. Alright, let's see, yeah. So all of these vanishing points right now, they're actually off of the page. I just take a ruler, I place a vanishing point outside, and I just draw all my perspective lines in first. So what I do is I'll for this one, you guys can see these vanishing points, it's not on the side of the page. I kind of had to extend it, so I'll kind of just extend it like that. Place a vanishing point here and take my ruler, get all the perspective lines in. Alright, what was I gonna do? Right here. Oh, I need to get some water later. Anyways, let me just add in these lines right here. I'll zoom in a bit. Do a video of perspective of humans and backgrounds. Yeah, most definitely. Oh, and actually, there's a timer that just came on. I think I have like 2 minutes left, so I'll just show you guys something real quick, and that'll wrap up the video. So the top of the building, you kind of want a bump over here, so you don't want it completely flat. So wherever it goes down, you'll kind of just add something dark over here. So that's really going to give you the illusion that it's rising up and it's not just flat. And for those of you guys asking me how old I am, I'm 18 years old. Yeah. So there we go. We have that in. And actually there's only a minute remaining, so you guys can kind of, let me see if I can lift this up. You guys can kind of take a look at the whole thing, and yeah, if there's not too many questions left, I'll just end it since there's like 30 seconds left. But here you guys go. I'm actually going to take this off so you guys can kind of see it. But hopefully you guys liked the video, and yeah, I'll probably do more soon. So thanks for tuning in, you guys. I'll see you guys next time.